Well, hello rally friends, and welcome to my thoughts from the kitchen table. But as perhaps the more astute of you can work out, it's not a kitchen table today. Where are we? Well, I have to say I'm quite excited. I have been loaned by the lovely people at Volvo UK one of their brand spanking new XC60s. It's a fantastic motor, it really is. As a lot of you will know, I've got quite a young family. I've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And we are going to Scotland this week. We're off to try and find Rudolph in the Highlands of Scotland. And I thought, well, do you know what? It'd be nice to have a car that's capable of taking us through the snowy Highlands of Scotland. And as I say, the lovely folk at Volvo UK have loaned me this wonderful XC60. Fantastic motor. I can't wait to see how it deals with those roads in Scotland. Heading off there very shortly. But more importantly, folks, the news has now been confirmed. The news that we'd been speculating about for perhaps 7 or 8 days or so. Sebastien Loeb, incredibly, leaving Citroën and signing for Hyundai. Signing a 2-year deal with a Hyundai as well. Is that a bit of a surprise? Well, I think it is a little bit of a surprise. From maybe Hyundai's point of view, I don't know. Is it a surprise? It's a difficult one to work out, isn't it? We knew he wanted to come back. We saw that after Spain. He enjoyed Spain so much that it was inevitable that he would find a seat in the WRC this season. We all assumed he would stay with Citroën. When the Abu Dhabi funding went, he was a free merchant. He was on the market. He was looking for a new drive. And at the time, or certainly last week when we talked about this, we suggested that perhaps whoever could match Loeb's requirements best would be where he would go. Now, they've given him 6 rounds, which is fantastic. Starting in Monte Carlo, a little bit surprising as well. Is he still going to do the Dakar? There's a big question that remains a little bit unanswered. When's he going to test the Hyundai before Monte Carlo if he does the Dakar? It has to be in the next few days, doesn't it? Will he still do Dakar? Remember, he's there as a privateer. He's there in a Peugeot, the car that he represented his former employee in. On previous Dakars. What did he do? 2-3 Dakars previously with the PSA group in the 3008? Yeah, I think there has to be a question mark now as to whether Loeb will do the Dakar. It certainly wouldn't be perfect preparation for Monte Carlo. Remember, if you get to the end of the Dakar, and that's always a big ask, it's only the weekend before Monte. It doesn't give you a lot of time to recover, then to prepare for the Monte Carlo recce, which is a long recce. So I think there have to be question marks as to whether Loeb will do the Dakar. We'll wait to hear news, confirmation or otherwise, of that. But, it's caused quite a few ructions, hasn't it, Loeb coming back? A lot of people saying, is it good for the sport? Is it right for the sport? Particularly in the light of this morning's news, which is that Hayden Paddon, and I feel desperately sorry for him, Hayden Paddon offered 1 round by Hyundai, and we heard it might have been, strangely, Finland, although he's always gone well in Finland, offered 1 round by Hyundai, and he said, no thanks very much, that doesn't suit me. And I can see why, but the guy's going to sit at home next year. He won't sit at home. He'll be doing something, that's for sure. He'll be doing a lot, I'm certain of that. But the consequences of a 9 times retired world champion coming back into the championship sees Hayden Paddon sitting at home. I am really, really surprised by that. Paddon performed exceptionally well last year. There's no question about that. 2 podiums, a wonderful 2nd place that he picked up in the final event of the year in Australia. Drove beautifully, drove exactly the way the team wanted him to. Yes, he had that unfortunate retirement in, where were we? It was in Portugal, wasn't it? But he was leading the rally when he went out in Portugal. He then did exactly what he had to do for the remainder of the season, was never outside, apart from GB, was never outside of the top 5 and picked up a podium in Turkey, a podium in Australia, and it looked as if Paddon had done more than enough, particularly when you compare him to maybe Sordo. Sordo had a very good season as well, but in particular to Andreas Mikkelsen. Andreas Mikkelsen this morning must have been breathing a massive sigh of relief. Mikkelsen, by anyone's standards, underperformed last year. But, here are the contradictions. Michel Nondon, and I have a huge amount of time and respect for Nondon. Remember when Thierry Neuville was lost? And he was lost. He won that first rally in Germany way back. And then he lost his way for the best part of 2 years, and he was struggling to get 7th or 8th place. Paddon had taken the win in Argentina, and it looked as if Paddon was the golden boy within the team, and then bang, things came good again for Neuville in Sardinia that year, and he just went from strength to strength to strength. And he did that because he was allowed to work his way through, by Michel Landon, the problems that he had. Was Paddon given the same degree of flexibility, if you like? Paddon had a dreadful 2017. Couldn't have started in a worse fashion with that dreadful accident in Monte Carlo. Personal problems, all sorts of things, really adding to a difficult season in 2017. But, he was beginning to come good. It certainly looked that way. Podium to finish the year in Australia. He was basically knocked back when Mikkelsen joined the team. He was told that his lifelong ambition to be world champion wasn't going to happen in 2017. It certainly wasn't going to happen in 2018 either, because he was going to share a car with Sordo. But he still got on with the job in 2018. He knuckled down. He did what he had to do. Had he been given the time, could he have also fulfilled the potential that we all suspect is there within Paddon? We're not going to find out, are we? Sadly, we're not going to find out. But the big question is whether Mikkelsen will benefit from that view that Michel Landon took with Thierry Neuville. I hope he does, because you know what? There is big pressure on Mikkelsen to up his game, and he has to. It's a role reversal. Remember at the start of last year, it was Mikkelsen sitting on the sidelines. He was the big threat to everyone. If you underperform, we've got a winner sitting waiting to take your place. It's the same situation this year. You've got Paddon sitting on the sidelines. If anyone underperforms in any of the teams, the team boss has that option to bring Paddon in, potentially, I suspect. In particular, with Hyundai, he is there as the super sub. We talked a few rallies ago, didn't we, or a few kitchen tables ago, about Hyundai's response to the super team that Toyota have formed. And clearly, Loeb is that response. And in my view, it is the right choice. Yes, you can look at the way that drivers have been treated within the team, perhaps, and you can argue for one against the other, but I think Michel Landon has made the right choice here with Sebastien Loeb. Loeb is a winner, and Loeb will win rallies this year. If he doesn't win them, he'll be second, he'll be third on a number of rallies. He is the right man to do what Hyundai have to do, and that is to win championships. If you're a Kiwi, you might say, well, what about Danny Sordo? He's in the twilight of his career, whereas Paddon is still very much trying to establish himself as one of WRC's elite. The elite I talk about basically refers to drivers who I think can win any rally, and there are only 5 or 6 of them. 6 if you include Loeb now. Sordo isn't there. Sordo has his strengths, he has his weaknesses, but the big thing going for Sordo, and that counts against, I suppose, Hayden Paddon, is that Sordo is extremely comfortable, as we know, on tarmac. Hayden struggles on tarmac. So you'd have to say, with the performances last year, and you could not put a cigarette paper between them in terms of the performances with Paddon and with Sordo, on the balance of it all, Sordo was also the correct decision from Michel Landon. So the points are stacking up for the Hyundai management in the decisions they have made. The final tally of points will not come until the end of next year, when we see whether or not this gamble, and it is a gamble going with Loeb, whether it's worked out. I would say, on the face of it, the right choices. The right choices. Mikkelsen has the potential to join the elite. The right choices. Tough one to swallow for all our Kiwi friends, and in particular for Hayden Paddon. But probably the right choice from Hyundai. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you saying, again, Loeb, he shouldn't be coming back. He should be giving the youngsters a chance. Torsion nonsense. The way that the WRC is structured right now, with 3-point scoring cars, you choose the 3 strongest drivers available to you. You do not take a chance on youngsters when you have a proven winner available to you. You can't do it. You cannot do it. The stakes are enormous. We look at how much Toyota are spending. Upwards of 70 million euros a year, we think. Hyundai won't be far behind them. That's a massive investment. And with that kind of investment, you demand returns, and returns are championships. Now, if you're going for a championship, are you really, Mr. Hyundai, going to take a chance on Huttinen, put him in the car? Absolutely not. Are you going to take a chance over Loeb on perhaps Pontus Tiedemann, put him in the car? Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. It is not the fault of a Hyundai. It is not the fault of Sebastien Loeb. It is the way the regulations work. Now, you notice I didn't say the fault of the regulations because I don't disagree with them. I think with these regulations, we have the best drivers available fighting on every rally. Now, what you could do, if you're unhappy with the fact that the youngsters aren't getting the chance, you could perhaps write to the FIA and you could suggest to them that what they do with the third car is that they put an age limit on it. They put an appearance limit on it. So anyone under 27, anyone maybe who's done less than 15 or 20 rounds in a WRC car, that is who the third car is for. But that's an artificial situation, and it means that potentially the best drivers in the world could be missing out. And we don't need that. We really don't. We have a maximum of 12 manufacturer cars in each round, and we want those cars to be wherever possible given to the very best drivers. So, you know, I don't get the argument, and I certainly don't. I get it, but I don't agree with it, that Loeb is taking seats from youngsters. It's just not happening. Loeb is one of the very best drivers in the world. He proved he still is in the 3 events that he competed in last year. Therefore, he deserves to be where he is. And as I've already said, I agree with Michel Nondon. I think he has probably got the strongest lineup that he could put together this year. And time will tell as to whether it's the right lineup. Now, what does that mean? It means really we're now looking, I believe, at one more unconfirmed seat, and that is the second seat at MSport. One is confirmed, Teemu Sunen. My view is that we will have 2 cars at MSport in 2019. I'm pretty certain MSport will be there. Some very positive comments from Malcolm Wilson in an excellent article, again by the wonderful David Evans in Autosport. It's on autosport.com. Have a look if you have access to that. He talks with Malcolm about the future, about the development of the car, about the past, about Ford's involvement with the development of the cars, and he talks very, very encouragingly about the developments that are in line for that Fiesta, you know, and that all adds up to you know, a good indication that they will be there next year. The decision hasn't been made yet, but I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Sunanen every round, Evans every round, Elvin Evans. I think he's there. I think he's there. I think he's going to do every round. The third car will be there on certain rounds. Gus Greensmith will be in it. Tell you who else will be in it. Remember last year, Lorenzo Bertelli was going to do Rally Sweden. I think we'll see Bertelli at Rally Sweden this year, and perhaps on further rounds. And I think there's a chance that we might see Eric Cameli in that third car. The third car will be a car that is paid for by customers. But I believe the MSport lineup this coming year will be Sunanen and Evans. You look at last year, and the results weren't there. They weren't great. But these are 2 young drivers who have the potential to win rallies. Sunanen in particular. Evans needs to show us that he can use those 4 full seasons in a World Rally car, and he can take that step this year. Yes, he won in GB, but he didn't consolidate that win with his performance and his position in the championship. He absolutely needs to do it with this opportunity he's got this year, because Malcolm had options. Clearly he had options. Paddon would have been an option. Okay, Paddon has said many occasions he's staying with Hyundai. Hyundai in New Zealand is his future. But Paddon for sure would have been an option. Craig Breen is another very, very obvious option. And Elvin Evans is an option. And you could probably throw into that someone like, I suppose, Pontus Tiedemann. So Malcolm had options, but I think he will stick with Evans. He's seen something in Evans. He's invested an awful lot of money, time and effort over the past 4 years in Evans, and he wants a return on it. So there's pressure on Elvin this year. There really is pressure on him. But I think he will rise to that. I really do. We saw glimpses of it towards the end of the season, in particular in Rally Spain. And I think Evans will rise. And I think that team, inexperienced as it is, the least experienced team in the championship, has the potential, if they take those steps up, those strides forward, they have the potential to win rallies. I don't think we'll get a champion coming out of MSport, and I don't think we'll get a manufacturer's title at all coming out of MSport, but I don't think they'll embarrass themselves this year. We'll wait and see. Confirmation of that will come, I'm sure, at some point. So there we are, folks. My thoughts from the kitchen table. From the kitchen, well, from the back of the XC60. Look, my mug this time round. Merry Christmas. It is almost Christmas time. Oh, that moment of that lovely sweet tea has reminded me that, I mentioned Craig Breen there. It's looking hard. Listen, we've got Mads Osberg. Missed out on a seat this year because of the situation. I think Breen also is going to sadly miss out. I just don't see where he fits in. Maybe a privateer drive somewhere. Again, another driver who doesn't deserve his fate, and his fate could be to be sitting at home in 2019. We've got Mads Osberg, we've got clearly Hayden Paddon, and we've got Craig Breen. I don't think we expected three of our top line drivers not to be on the start list for the start of the 2019 season, but I think that sadly is going to be the case. I just can't see it happening. I don't see where Breen is going to end up if, as I suspect, Evans goes to MSport. Desperately sad, and Breen is for sure, out of all those drivers, the one who I think is yet to reach his peak. Very much yet to reach his peak. He's still on, it's not a steep curve with Breen, and it never has been. It is a more gradual curve. But that gradual curve, rather than starting here and going straight up there, it started here and it went more gradually. It didn't go whoosh, steep as you like. It's just gone gradual, 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 gradual. And I believe it'll get there to the very top. Just take a little bit of time, and he needs that opportunity, and that opportunity might not come, sadly, in 2019 for Craig Breen. But we'll keep our fingers crossed for Breen. We'll keep our fingers crossed for all of our boys, for Breen, for Paddon, and for Mads Osberg. Osberg is working on something, and he's told us that, plenty of that in his social media. He's looking to put a program together for 2019. It will be with the backing of a private sponsor, possibly OneBet, possibly Adapter, possibly another sponsor that we're not aware of. There are options for him. And I think the PH Sport car, a PH Sport run Citroen, could be the preferred option for Mads Osberg. He seems very comfortable in that Citroen, and he seems to be able to deliver results. And he knows that there's a seat potentially at Citroen for 2020. This is what Breen has to hang on to, and this is what Paddon has to hang on to in some ways. He has to hang on. If he's hanging on for a seat at Hyundai, that might be a little more difficult. But, what Paddon needs is a return to the championship. So, there'll be a seat, fingers crossed, if Abu Dhabi return in 2020, there'll be a seat at Citroen. So, Mads Osberg fully aware of that. If he stays within that group in a PH Sport run Citroen, then he puts himself in pole position. And I think that will be what Mads Osberg is looking at and considering. Because from what I hear, Abu Dhabi are out for the year. There's a massive re-evaluation of all of Abu Dhabi's sporting investments and sponsorships in 2019. And they are looking to re-engage in 2020 where they feel there is value for money. That's from cycling to golf to motorsport, every aspect of their sporting investments. So, as I say, Osberg's aware of that. And I think he will stay within the Citroen family. And I think Osberg will do a decent programme next year. I'm keeping my fingers crossed he does anyway. So there we are, folks. Listen, once again, thank you very much for watching my thoughts from the XC60. Again, I'm going to say it because you lovely people helped me out last time. Facebook, if you're watching, press the share button. YouTube, if you're watching. And I keep telling my kids, I'm now a YouTube sensation. I've got 2,569 followers as at about 8 o'clock this morning. And I tell my kids, look, your dad's a YouTube sensation these days. And they tell me I've only got about another 25 million followers to go on YouTube until I become a sensation. They know how to knock me down, they really do. But if you are watching on YouTube, just help me get towards that 25 million and press the subscribe button. Guys, I don't know whether we're going to come back before Christmas. I think we probably will. What I'm thinking about, and do let me know about this, I'm thinking about doing a Facebook Live to answer your questions. And I might try and pull David Evans into that as well. But if you fancy a Facebook Live session, question and answer session, then we'll maybe try and fit that in before Christmas. But for now, folks, from the kitchen table, from the XC60, On our way to Scotland, by the way, very shortly, looking for Rudolph. We'll talk to you guys all later on. Thank you for your time once again.